Hi guys. So I'm gonna present on leadership and how I kind of like my philosophy on leadership and what I think is important. The title of this presentation is "There's no I in team, but there is a me in that motherfucker." And I'll explain that what I mean by that on the next slide. So, um, in relation to the title, there's no I in team. As a team, you're not one person. You're a collaboration of a bunch of different parts. But how can you, i.e., me, be a better me for the team that you are working with? Um, how can me become a better leader and manager so that the team as a whole benefits? So in this presentation, what I'm going to look at is just understanding self-awareness, what that is, and how that can help you, and why it's important to be a leader, for good leaders to be self-aware. A quick look at the difference between management and leadership, and then yeah, just go into my principles of leadership. So, self-awareness, what is that? Well, um, before you can manage and be an effective leader, for me, the most important thing is to be self-aware. Understand your value, what you are good at, what you're strong at, what you're weak at. Uh, and ask yourself the question, would you want to work for you? Um, so what you do really well and what you need to work on, and understand how you can dress the above. One way is to ask yourself these questions, obviously, but to ask others to answer them and ask for their honest opinion. It'll be very valuable for you. Uh, and then we can look at a focus on things we can control. So like we're looking at we can only control the controllable. So the in the book, you know, Seven Habits of Effective People, they talk about the circle of influence versus the circle of concern. So an example of this be like, can I control the budget our team gets given? That's my circle of concern. I don't have any control over that. Um, but if I think about my circle of influence, well, I can change that narrative and say I can create the best product for our resources that are given and influence future spending. And another example is a circle of concern would be, can I control the opportunity I'm given? Um, is with regard to coaching, it'd be like, or I can think of it within my circle of influence as like, make the best out of each opportunity I'm given, so I'm given more. Hopefully, that makes sense. Uh, so this will probably make it a lot clearer. So we have a proactive focus. So we're focusing more on our circle of influence, the things we can control. Um, so this allows, this shows positive energy, and that positive energy is infectious and magnifying, and it causes your circle of influence to increase, and thus the things you can control become greater, and the things you can't become less. Or you can have the reactive focus, which is the opposite, where you focus more on the things you can't control. So the attitude of others, perhaps, the strengths and the weaknesses of others, the problems and the circumstances that you literally have no control over. Your focus is on that, and as a result, that increases, and then your circle of influence gets smaller, and then you have less control over the things you actually have control over at the start. So yeah, let's try and all be a proactive focus. Um, okay, so when you're thinking about being self-aware, you need to listen. You need to listen to others, and you need to hear what they're saying, and understand that listening and understanding of the team around you, and what they're doing, your job and the job that you are managing. Um, to me, management serves two purposes. It gives accountability and a chain of command for stakeholders or organizations. You, as a manager, you are part of a team, um, and in essence, you are just a small cog working in that team, working together for a central goal. If you are not working together or you are not in sync, then this cog, this machine, is not going to be running as efficiently, and it won't get to where it needs to go or where you aspire to go. Um, as a result, as a manager, you need to investigate that and deal with that, whether it's finding the member or the role that's not effective, and finding a way to make them effective or removing them from that role. The manager needs to ensure essentially that all cogs are working together. Um, So here are your cogs, and then in the essence of S&C, we've got our athlete-centered model, where the athlete's in the middle and we're all little cogs working around. So we've got our medical, our managers, our doctors, our technical coaches, our S&C, our nutritionists, etc., etc. Okay, so um, let's look at some definitions. So management is from the ancient Greek word that means a path follower. So in essence, a manager needs a path to follow, but who is providing that path? When you are following a path put forward, your only goal is to do the right thing and follow that path, so you don't detract from that path. Um, and a leadership from the ancient Greek word means path maker. So when you are creating a path, you need to focus on doing the right thing rather than doing things right. So, management, do things right, leadership, do the right thing. And we'll break this down into some issues. So, planning issue, a manager will sequence and task, whereas a leader will overview and look for results. In the issue of thinking, the manager might assess the risks and be rational, whereas a leader will see the opportunity to challenge and be intuitive. When dealing with people, a manager's role is to supervise and support, whereas a leader's role is to motivate and encourage. Looking at change, well, a manager wants to maintain the status quo, um, whereas a leader will actively promote change. When you look at resources, a manager will allocate and monitor those resources, whereas a leader will identify resources and seek out more resources. And the focus, a manager is detail conscious, whereas the leader looks at the big picture. In order to create the path, you have to know where that path's going. So you're looking at the big picture. Where you, all right, leadership principles. So let's delve into this a little bit. I'm yet to meet someone I consider a great leader who didn't want to pass on as much skill and knowledge as they can to people, who didn't want to interact, didn't want to listen, wants to understand people and apply their skill set to certain situations that were presented. I believe leaders create a path forward with and for people by listening to them. They can help inspire themselves and others to be the best they can be while stretching beyond what's comfortable. Being a leader begins from within, being self-aware. Ask yourself, what am I good at? What can I provide? What do I lack? How can I improve? Uh, this is being, and sorry, what can I improve and then bring this out into others? A quote that I like a lot, let's bring that up, is give someone a fish and you feed them for a day, but then to teach them how to fish and you feed them for a lifetime. And I think this underpins what my philosophy on leadership is. Okay, let's the principles of leadership. Well, number one, these aren't necessarily in any order, but I do think communication is probably the most important part of leadership. Um, Number one rule about communication is you've got to be present. You've got to listen with empathy and purpose and be fully focused and engaged on the conversation. You can't be distracted. Listen to what that person is saying. Be open when you communicate and be honest and consistent with the message that you're trying to communicate. Don't contradict yourself, in essence. This is an important one. Don't listen to respond, but listen to understand. So when someone's talking to you, don't wait for them to finish so you can have your say. Understand what they're trying to say and then react accordingly. Understand that not everyone is able to communicate effectively or in the same way. So tailor your communication methods to suit those people. I believe leaders must motivate, instruct, and discipline the people they are in charge of. They can accomplish none of these if they aren't skilled at communication. Not only that, poor communicators can lead to poor outcomes. Leaders who fail to develop these skills are often perceived as being weak and, uh, soft. Poor leaders will hope to avoid challenging conversations in order to avoid conflict. It's at these times that it's imperative that you are able to communicate effectively and keep a calm head while maybe all those around you are losing theirs. Um, so that's my two pence worth on communication. So let's look at next. So growth. So leaders need to cultivate growth around them. They need to pass on knowledge and skill and empower those around them to seek out growth and self-development. in essence, make yourself and others better. Um, Share ideas and knowledge and listen to the ideas and the questions of others. Um, so you can not only find out more about yourself, but you can also find out how people perceive you. And once you know how people perceive you, you can act accordingly and make improvements or adjustments, so they can perceive you in the manner that you wish to be perceived. Enthusiasm. Okay, passion and enthusiasm isn't created by money or a will to be better than everyone else. And if it is, then this enthusiasm is very short-lived. Enthusiasm is a drive inside you that is wanting to be the best you that you can be. It's a passion and enthusiasm that you have for a project or an athlete to achieve all they can be and be the best that they can be, and then you want to be the best so you can assist them in achieving that goal. Um, Enthusiasm cannot be faked, and if it is, again, it's very short-lived and found out. You cannot check in at 9 a.m. and check out at 5 p.m. and forget about it till the next day. Uh, there's lots of people that do that. There's lots of people that just check in and check out, and that's their job, and they lack enthusiasm and drive and passion. They're not leaders. Um, if you want to be a leader, you've got to show enthusiasm 24/7. We spend far too much time at work for it to not have a meaning. Um, and I feel sorry for those that can't resonate with that sentence. Enthusiasm is contagious, and it's about creating a path and a goal that's bigger than yourself. If you do this, people will follow you and walk beside you on this path. An old S&C coach called Tim Grover, he came up with that. You don't have to love the grind or the hard work, but you have to crave the end result so intently that the hard work is irrelevant. And approach life with enthusiasm, and you'll be some way to being a good leader. Okay, inspire. Another principle of leadership for me is leaders take on challenges, and they see fear as a tool to be used productively. You're a good leader if you can inspire those around you not to be afraid to fail. I think fear of failure is the biggest reason why people stop progressing in life. They're scared to take that chance, and leaders, good leaders, effective leaders, are able to eliminate that fear of failure. Because inevitably, failure is inevitable if you are truly aspiring and pushing forward. Inspire yourself and others to use failure as a lesson and to grow and learn from it. You will never live long enough to experience every failure and triumph that people have experienced. So the ability to learn from others who have failed and who have triumphed will enable you to inspire yourself and your team to push forward without fear. A leader creates a path forward, and with people using curiosity to hear ideas from their perspective, they inspire themselves and others to be the best they can be while stretching beyond what's comfortable. Being a leader begins from within, not outside ourselves. A leader never sees a job as above or below him. If it needs to be done, it gets done, and he would never ask someone to do something that they wouldn't think they'd do themselves. On to the next slide, we'll look at loyalty. Again, a huge principle for me in leadership. And loyalty is reciprocal, and it is often expressed in tangible ways. Loyalty is shown by ensuring your team members um, have the training and resources uh, they need to do their job. Um, it's also shown in standing up for your teammates in times of, or team members in times of crisis and conflict. Great leaders will often see their role as a service role, and that service is to provide their team with all they need to be the best they can be. They won't see themselves as a leader, they'll see themselves as a servant to the people they lead, in essence. Often leaders that show this character trait to their colleagues and team members will receive the same back. Unfortunately, however, it's not always the case. And then perhaps on some self-reflection, the leader can look back at the principles and say, I was lacking in one of those, which is why I didn't get loyalty in return. Um, and then it's just a sad fact that not everyone possesses the character trait of loyalty. Uh, okay, the next one leads on from loyalty is integrity, which again for me is a huge one. Um, And people, an example of integrity is people follow examples, not necessarily advice. And this is shown in children following what their parents do and whatnot. It's if you expect honesty from your co-workers and your employees, then make sure that you show honesty towards them, even if it's hard truths and hard conversations to have. It's not about being a saint and being perfect, but it's about having the ability to acknowledge when you've made poor decisions and then not let them be repeated and learning from those poor decisions. Integrity can come in all different forms, and giving proper credit for accomplishments from colleagues, acknowledging their work, acknowledging their mistakes or your mistakes, putting safety and quality ahead of everything. Great leaders exhibit integrity at all times. It's not something you can just show once in a while. They do what's right, even if that means that the best thing for the current project is not the best thing for the current project or the bottom line. They make those hard decisions, and integrity is sometimes very hard for some people to stick by, but great leaders always manage to do that. Empowerment for me as a coach and a mentor and somewhat of a leader, I think this is hugely important with my team that I work with. Is a sign of a great leader is to train and develop those under him. If you have built an organization or a team that are all working for a common goal along the same path and you trust each other, then to empower them is a must, or they won't progress. Empowerment creates buy-in. It gives people a vested interest in the mission. So if you empower them, they're going to be more likely to work towards what you're trying to achieve. Leaders grow by allowing others to lead and grow and thrive. Your character is about who you are when no one is watching, and how you treat people when for those people that can't do anything for you. With empowerment comes responsibility, and for those that are empowered and don't treat others well, they will inevitably fail. Okay. Um, right, and then we'll go on to they're my principles. So we'll look at the conclusion. Uh, what did we gather from that short 20 odd minute presentation? Well, leaders must have the courage to see and say what others may fear. It is a job of a leader to guide and encourage his or her followers through difficult times. While management tells their employees what to do, a leader sets the direction. The leader takes the risk. The leader has the vision. The leader thinks long term and inspires trust. So is there a me and team? Well, however you understand the context of this presentation title, shift out of the me focused mindset. True leaders realize their sole existence is to add value to others. Be the best me for the team or to the team. The more you support others, the more they support you as a leader. Having the position of a manager or director does not make you a leader. The best managers and directors are leaders, but don't make the mistake to think that the two are not synonymous. Leadership is a result of action. If you act in a way that inspires, encourages, and engages others, you are a leader. It doesn't matter about your job title or your position. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. And you can fire me some questions or whatnot at the little handle up in the top corner. Cheers, guys.